who now opt to wear plastic $500,000 watches by Richard Mille. But it's cool.
To each their own, right?
Like it's funny because. All right, we'll talk. See, we can segue into a lot of conversation.
This is gonna be great.
Yeah. This is gonna be good because it can go places. We might be going down a nice little journey here. You know what I mean?
Nice.
Awesome. All right. Well, guess what? We were broadcasting. Sorry about that. Awkward intro, everybody. Welcome to another broadcast. My name is Mike Martin from Casio. And joining me, as always, 820 miles to my east, my co-host for this episode, Mr. Richard Formidoni. How you doing, Rich?
Doing all right, holding it down on the East Coast. Hope everything's good with all you guys out there. Thank you for joining us, as always. This is going to be a good one.
This is going to be a great one. So, we have a really phenomenal guest today. I mean, multi-award-winning singer, songwriter, producer, humanitarian, and founding member of one of the top-selling groups of all time, Boyz II Men. And he's just debuted a new solo album called ForeWord. Welcome to the broadcast, Mr. Shawn Stockman. How you doing, man?
Shawn Stockman.
Hi. What's up, guys?
Great to have you here.
Thank you very much for joining us, man. This is great.
No, man. I'm happy to be here. Very, very happy to be here. So I'm good. Everything is good.
All right. Well, apologize for all the awkward hiccups here starting up today. Just making sure all the camera angles and Skype and everything was working. So
it's all good, man. It's live, dude. You know what I mean? Can't Mike, take all of this stuff too seriously. We're all here winging it. We've been winging it for about over a month now, and I think we're getting the hang of this. I think, yep. But this has been fun to me personally. I mean, outside of the challenges, I don't want to seem insensitive. I mean, unfortunately, there are a lot of people that are suffering and many people that are dying due to this pandemic. But for those who are alive and have been blessed to still be here, I look at this as a means to take advantage of all of the things that you put on hold and that you put off and that you were too busy doing whatever it was you were doing to now be able to do it. Take the time to make your life better. If you don't come out of this pandemic better than what you were before it happened, then you wasted the gift.
Right.
That is this. Like, you have to always look at both sides. It's not always half empty, and for people who are here, and still, sitting at home and with their families, take advantage of it. Take full advantage of it.
Absolutely.
Spend that natural time that you have with your families, those hobbies, those goals that you wanted, that you didn't have time for. And now you got time for it. So just look at it that way, and pray for those who are dealing with, this pandemic on a real level. And, pray that it stays away from your family. I pray the same for you guys.
Well, thank you very much, man.
You couldn't have summed up, I think, all of our feelings any better than that.
Yeah, man. You know what I mean? So, and by the way, I got to,
look at that.
Look at that.
Since we're here. You know what I mean?
Supporting the G-Shock.
This
Awesome.
is EW 6900 CB. This was given to me by you beautiful people at Casio many moons ago. And it's funny because, like, I think a week ago, I don't know, time is kind of just meshing, one big gumbo. But I featured all of my G-Shocks. Like, I featured all of the G-Shocks that I had, like, just because I have people that follow me that are watch geeks, and I love watches. So, this was for them to kind of like take a look, and, not always all the fancy schmancy, super expensive watches. They're cool, but these are cool too. And, or just as cool. And I've been a supporter of G-Shock for many, 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 many years. And, just so funny how to see just how the whole watch community has grown and developed and diversified and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of these watches were popularized by Pharrell, and we used to wear the all white ones, which really made it look real hot and sleek. But then he started wearing $500,000 plastic watches by another company. And no diss, it's like, it's great, but it's, I've yet, outside of the complications, which obviously is everything when it comes to a watch and stuff. It's like, it's you get the same accuracy and then some with the Casio G, and tougher. Yeah. Because those RMs, man, you drop that thing, you are having a coronary, just like, because you don't want it to break. But these are tough. They're used by everybody, from entertainers to firemen to soldiers to law officers to everybody.
Well, so Shawn, I want to talk. I mean, watches are awesome, and we love them too.
Yeah, I know, but we're not here for that.
Well, I mean, I want to talk. Let's talk about music and growing up, and like. So, I mean, you're a Philly guy. So, like, did you grow up in a musical household? Tell us a little bit of how you got started playing music.
Well, I grew up in a music loving household. I hail from Southwest Philadelphia. Lived on 59th and Belmar Terrace, and we, my whole family, we just loved music, and we played it all the time around the house, and it was just an integral part of our growing up and developing. That was culture. That was life. In the midst of dealing with day-to-day things, going to school, mom's working, and all that. Like, music is really, I can think of really fond moments of music bringing us together. Dancing with broomsticks, and to Soul Train, and the Jacksons, and all the other stuff. So, and I guess I had a gift for it. Out of I guess all my other family members. I come to find out later that I did have some family members that were in the music business. So I guess that's where it kind of came from. I guess it, that gene kind of splattered onto me. And so yeah, like I learned that I could sing. I love to sing, and I can do it. I've been doing it for as long as I can remember, and that's pretty much how I grew. Like, my mother saw the gift and allowed me to develop it in choirs and stuff like that, local choirs in Philadelphia, and music classes. I went to the High School for Creative and Performing Arts, where I met my guys in Boyz II Men, and because we were all vocal majors, and it just the love and the development and the knowledge and the education for music just grew as I grew.
In fact, one of our Philly co-workers just commented that you went to Kappa. I assume that's the performing. Yeah, that's the performing arts school. Kappa, so that's where you guys all met.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Right. That's right. Yep.
What are some of the artists, either Philly-based or any artists, that really shaped your sound when you were young, that really influenced you?
I was kind of, I can only speak for myself, but I can also speak for my group as far as our diversity. Like, it wasn't just R&B music that I listened to. I was very much into not just Earth, Wind and Fire, but the Carpenters and Christopher Cross and James Taylor and those guys too. I because my mother was into it. Like, my mother, she would drive us, in the car, and we would listen to this radio station in Philly called WCAU, and it was like, considered the white station, where it would play the rock music and the 80s jams and all that other stuff. So
some Hall and Oates in there too.
Hall and Oates and and the Hooters and let me see, like just guys like that. And then me growing up in the 80s, you listen to that electronica stuff, that, the I want candy, stuff like that, you couldn't help but to hear in my city. Like, we just didn't listen just to R&B and hip hop, which I was influenced by as well. But I was very broad in the sense of I listened to it all. If it felt good to me, it felt good to me. Duran Duran, Spandau Ballet, and
Wow.
all of that. Like I listened to everything. So it wasn't just one influence. I guess you could say R&B music kind of predominated my list, but ultimately, and especially when you hear Boyz II Men music, ultimately we grabbed pieces from everybody.
Yes,
like everybody that I noticed. Like I think, and to our credit, I think that's what separated us from everyone. The fact that we had a different way of interpreting our harmonies. It wasn't just the typical R&B harmony structure. Like we were broad in the sense of, all right, let's try some Manhattan Transfer type stuff,
Right.
or you know what I mean, that type of thing. So all of those things make up who we are, and make up who I am as an individual.
Awesome.
Well, since you brought up Boyz II Men, we were going to get to it eventually.
Yeah.
I mean, just the name of the band. The name of the band kind of describes the path, because you were Billboard's biggest boy band of the year from 1987 to 2012. You literally became, from Boyz II Men, and now you have a street named after you. And just when you first got together with those guys, how did you realize there was chemistry there? How did it really begin?
Because of how we sounded. We weren't friends. That's the funny thing about it.
Oh.
Like, we didn't start off as, hey man, we got the same aspirations and stuff like that. We just knew we could sing because we were all in the same choirs and vocal classes and stuff. As a matter of fact, if anything, I was more of the outcast because I was I was the geek. I listened to metal music. I hung around the nerds and the the undesirables, the deplorables of the high school, because I
never knew we had so much in common.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
for real. It's like, I was that kid, and it wasn't our personalities that brought us together, because we came from different mind states, not necessarily from this. We came from the same neighborhoods, but like our mind states were different, and it was just that Nate had a group previous to the one that people know of, and those guys kept graduating and leaving, and it's high school, so I guess we were part of the new recruits, and I was one of the last ones to come into the group because a lot of people didn't even know how I could sing, because again, I was a geek, so no one really understood me as a person that could actually have some vocal ability. So the music brought us together, and as we became a group, we developed a friendship, thus and then a kinship. So we look at each other like brothers now.
That's beautiful, and the chemistry is so obvious, because there's so many songs where you just hear the title and suddenly you remember the entire song. For me, anyway, like It's So Hard to Say Goodbye, Motown Philly, End of the Road, Bended Knee. Like anytime I hear those titles, the whole song runs through my head. Yeah. Are there any of those that stick out in your head that you're the most proud of? I know it's like picking a favorite kid, but
yeah, that's always a tough question. It's like it's I wonder if people ask Paul McCartney or have ever asked John Lennon the same thing, considering that they've written so many amazing records. It's like that's not a fair question, because all of them have so many different characteristics. They're like children. Like which child do you love more? It's like it's really, you love them all for different reasons, because those particular songs in particular that you mentioned, they all mark a milestone in our lives and careers, where they mean different things, and they convey certain different moods. So to pick one, I could never do that. I could never pick one. It's impossible.
I retract the question completely and hand it over to Mike.
Well, so speaking of milestones, how did it feel to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
That was cool. at this point in my life, I'm 47, and at this part of my life, everything that I do now is concerning my career is about legacy and about planting those seeds that when I'm too old to do this stuff, which I hope that it's long, 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 long in the future, that my kids and their kids and their kids' kids can walk down Hollywood Boulevard and say, "Hey, that was Grandpa." You know, you see, your grandfather got a star. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he did his thing. He did something in life. He didn't he didn't waste life away. You know, in hopes that it'll inspire, you know, the relatives that I will never meet.
It's funny you mentioned that. I was going to ask. There's so many artists that.
Wait a minute. Did I?
Oh, you're still here.
I lost you.
Got us. Okay.
Okay, cool.
There's a lot of artists that grew up with you or were influenced by you, and you blazed trails for a lot of them. Do you often find yourself or ever find yourself in like a mentor position to people?
Yeah. And that's also one of the blessings of, I guess, being in the business as long as we've been in it. You acquire people who have watched you or studied you or listened to your music and gained inspiration from it, and they have questions and they want to know certain things, and I'm an open book when it comes to that. I'm all in when it comes to divulging information, because I feel like that's part of the reason why things happen the way they did with us, not just for us personally, but for other people who we influence. So I don't take that lightly. I love talking to the up and comers and trying to show them certain things and talk to them and just kind of not preach, but just give them some sound advice in hopes that it'll help them. And, you know, that makes me feel good that they even consider asking me. So the I guess the popularity of the group, it has a purpose. You know, it had a purpose, always did.
Right.
And I didn't realize that until now.
And that's part of your legacy. You get to help these young up and comers do their thing.
Right. Exactly.
Wow. So one of the questions coming in from the chat asking, did you guys record at Sigma? I assume that's a big recording studio in the Philly area.
Yes. Sigma was the studio of Gamble and Huff, the guys that created the Philly sound. And yeah, we've done a couple records. We didn't do our albums in Sigma. We never. I don't know why. We used a studio owned by Joe and Nick Nicolo, the Nicolo brothers. They had a label called Rough House Records, who they had Cypress Hill and the Fugees and Crisscross and, you know, those guys. Like they signed them and they had a studio called Studio 4 William Penn, Penn Parkway and Penn's Landing, around Penn's Landing. And that's where we recorded our first two records, Cooley High Harmony and 2. Just felt home and felt like home. And it was just we developed a relationship with the Nicolo brothers, and it was just a nice, really cool studio. And later on, Jazzy Jeff had his studio in his room in there too. So he had Touch of Jazz in there, and, you know, it was a lot of great memories in that studio, because that's where it all started for us. That's
amazing.
Yeah.
Mark says Studio 4.
Studio 4. Yeah. It was on 4th and something. I forget the name of the street. I'm drawing such a blank, but yeah, that's why they call it Studio 4.
So Boyz II Men obviously still active, still doing your thing. I know it's been tough for the past couple months, but how has the Vegas residency been treating you? Are the crowds very different from other types of gigs?
Yeah, Vegas is great because, one, it's Vegas. Two, it's a great hub for our fans to come see us whenever we're in town. They don't have to find us or go anywhere that they might not want to go to. It's Vegas. Everybody wants to come to Vegas. So when we do have shows there, it's great for our fans, and it's good for other people too. Like we draw all types of people all over the world, mainly because Vegas is the entertainment capital. So we get a mixed bag of people in the audience. You get people who are locals who go to shows all the time or just want to see our show and see how it is, which is great, and we get good responses from them. And like I said, internationally, people from all over, they see our marquee, they buy a ticket, they come and check us out. So it's been great. We've been there for 6 years, and it's been great. The MGM, who owns the Mirage, has been fantastic to us, and we can't complain. And it's unfortunate, obviously, this is one of the unfortunate things about this pandemic, that we're not able to, go out there and perform right now. But we'll be back soon.
Great.
Good.
So I recently saw you guys, Boyz II Men, on a Geico commercial.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get a good deal? You pass along. How good's the price on your auto insurance?
You know what?
Are you saving more than 15%?
You know the gig. That was actually a lot of fun. That was Geico is now known for having really great, funny commercials, and that was one of the reasons why we wanted to do it. We was like, yo, we got to do a commercial, like you know what I mean, like, so
it was classic.
Yeah. So fortunately, they were up for it, and they came up with a really great idea and a concept, for our commercial, which was great, and people still talk about it now, and that's what made it kind of cool. So, but yeah, awesome. No, we didn't. That wasn't part of the deal, getting insurance, but but it's okay. They paid us really nice, and they gave us a bit of history in doing a commercial like that. We thought that people still talk about to this day, so that it was worth it.
That's so funny. I was wondering if you could give us a little insight as to what the songwriting process is for a Boyz II Men song.
Well, it depends. It depends on I guess where we are and what we're doing it for. Normally, because most of the time, every once in a while, we'll make a track that we can all write to, but normally we outsource actual instrumentals for us to write over, and we'll sit in a room and we'll listen to tracks and we'll see what we vibe with or whatever, and say we like that one, put that to the side, like that one, put to the side, and then we kind of just live with them. And whoever comes up with a bit of a base for the song, then we hop on that bandwagon and we go with it. And in that case, but in certain other cases, I say, for example, I wrote a song called Pass You By years ago for the guys. And this is when we had our studio in Philadelphia. And it's literally just sitting down, banging away at the keyboard, seeing what, chords kind of hit you. You structure the song from that. You normally have a rhythm to it. You add that to it. You play around, you add embellishments. And then as the track is developing, I'm writing as I'm creating. So it's one of those things where you hear certain things as you write. You hear certain notes, words, melodies that continue to resonate, and you repeat them and you repeat them and you put it down, and it's a fun process. Like having something come from absolutely nothing into something, like so that's the great thing about songwriting too, because you never know how it's going to come out. Sometimes you can have like a really great idea and it ends up being terrible, like, and it sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are swings and misses.
That's
like,
impossible.
Oh, wow! How I wish that was that were true. But yeah, like you can come up with something and you're like, yo, that's gonna be great. This gonna be so dope, you know. And you start writing and you go, and I ain't feeling it no more. You kind of scrap it, you know what I mean? And then there might be things again that you just kind of have like just one thought, and then it becomes a song. Pass You By was one of those records.
Wow,
that was an amazing record.
Thank you.
So speaking of amazing records, you've got a new one.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about ForeWord. There's some amazing songs from it.
Thank you. Yes, the album is entitled ForeWord, ForeWord. It's, forward as a preamble to a book. It's basically 11 songs that I created as a means of introducing myself as the artist that you know as the guy in Boyz II Men. Like, that is a part of my life, and that will always be a part of my life. But this is kind of a reintroduction to the public, because I look at this effort and me doing this on my own as being like a new artist, because a lot of people don't know me in this light. They've never seen me by myself. So ForeWord is that introduction of letting everybody know who I am as the individual in the group that you may love or hate. But the point is, these are just straight up R&B songs that I didn't want to turn anybody off too much by getting too artsy fartsy and making it, so just creative to a sense where people don't understand where you're coming from. I wanted this to be, I call the music blue collar R&B, in a sense where I wanted the type of songs that people could drive to and from work listening to, while they're at work, while they're at home with their significant other, while they're sitting around relaxing, drinking some wine, we about to make love, we about to, like all of those things. Like, I just wanted to have those types of records that people could actually use, and it not be a thing where, I have to be in a certain mood to listen to this. You can listen to this throughout the whole day, no matter what mood you're in, and hopes that, and I tried to encapsulate those sensitivities into it. And I'm very proud of it. It's been getting great reception thus far for those who know about it, and can't complain, man. This has been great.
You're already getting lots of great comments coming in on our stream here, and it does have some special elements. First off, it's a fantastic album. You hear the classic R&B influence coming in. You hear hip hop elements. New production. To me, it's kind of similar to how Boyz II Men years ago made a name by fusing vocal harmonies with some hip hop elements in the 90s. And the way you're doing it now is a beautiful elevation of the form. I think you hear that a lot on something like Left Right.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite tracks on the album.
Thanks, man.
And it's really refreshing to hear your vocal talent in this context instead of like cranked up auto-tune.
Right. Well,
am I frozen?
Nope. Yeah. No. Oh, you are frozen, Rick. You're frozen. Hello. There you go. Okay. There you go. Okay.
Did I freeze up?
You're good.
Yeah. You're good.
No problem. I'm not sure how much that came through. I think
we got it.
No, we got it.
Up a little bit.
We got it. Left Right is a dope record in a sense of I wanted this to be a fun experience for me, and again, I write, obviously some of the influences were by the producers that I worked with, and they'll throw ideas out, but ultimately I write what the track is saying to me, and I tend to kind of just go there. I don't think too much. Like with music, as with most things, thinking too hard tends to muddy the waters a bit. And in the creative process, you have to stay loose. You have to like really step out of your comfort zone and possibly say words and put them in a melody that you might not have thought about or expected. But you leave things open, to be received, and you kind of just go with it. And that's pretty much where I took a lot of these records too. Again, these were songs that came out of nowhere. They weren't sitting anywhere. I would literally just go into the studio with no idea of what the hell I'm creating, and then a song is born. And that's how I try to approach most of my creative process, with not having it all together. That's the fun.
Right.
Like, the fun part of it is not knowing what is going to come out of it. Like, having maybe some inkling of an idea, but then that's it.
That journey,
and then the rest of it just kind of goes with, all right, what am I going to do with this? And that's what makes the process of recording and making songs fun.
Well, let's take a break and listen to one of your songs from the new album. This one's called All I Do. Hold on. Here we go.
Do it.
Always stay, 'cause we make each other better. Still in love, come what may. It's amazing how you still hold me down after all of my mistakes. And I wanna thank you for everything, oh, everything you do for me. You're so good for me. For only you, the song I sing. 'Cause all I do, all I do, oh, all I do is for you, only you, baby. All I do, all I do, all I do.
And we're back. Amazing track, Shawn. I mean, you guys got to go listen to this new album. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
And
Thank
Rich,
you very much.
you were talking while we were off camera.
Well, I hear Shawn saying that, he didn't want to do anything too creative, but he did. And, listening to this album gave me that feeling that, hey, this is exciting. This is fun to hear. And I really enjoyed it, and it felt refreshing.
Thank you.
That was the word that came to mind. So
thank you very, very much.
Sell it short. It's awesome.
No, thank you. I wanted to make sure that people just got some sort of got something out of it. Like, there's spirit in it. I don't want anybody to think that it isn't. Like, I put spirit into the songs and into the music. And again, I tried to make it where it was easy to digest, where you're not trying to figure out what the hell I'm saying, what the agenda is, and things of that nature. You hear it as soon as you hit play, and that's what I wanted with this particular record. And shout out to SRG and the label and everybody who has helped me out with putting this together. It's been great, and again, it's good that people who have received it understands it, they get it, and they're enjoying it for what it is, and for that I'm grateful.
So there's actually a comment from YouTube I want to address, because we were going to ask the same question. Is he's saying love the instrumentation behind the vocal. How much were you involved in that process, the production process, the instrumentation in these tracks?
Oh, heavily. There are some songs that were produced by a gentleman by the name of Tim Kelly, who's done a lot of stuff with Boyz II Men on the 2 album with his former partner, Bob Robinson. So he would send me tracks like, for example, Left Right, he did that track. Feel a Little Something, he did that track. Come With Me, he did that track. Like, he did a couple of tracks, but the rest of it is me. Like, when it comes to All I Do, I did that record. Don't Spare My Heart, and Breathing, which I co-produced with a gentleman by the name of Eric Bluetooth Giggs and Greg, excuse me. And, that's why I called this ForeWord, because this is kind of an introduction to things that a lot of people may or may not have known about me as, and not just an artist, but as a songwriter. I produced a track for Pass You By. I produced a track for Doing Just Fine. Like, I did that. You know what I mean? Like, those are records that I actually, from conception, created, produced, arranged, composed, all those things. And, because the bigger hits were written by
I did not know that.
Babyface, and a lot of people don't, because the bigger records were written by those producers and songwriters who are known for that, which is great. But yes, I've produced since the beginning of our career, and this is something that I've always done.
Wow.
Did you find the creative process for ForeWord was very different than what you're used to with Boyz II Men?
Yes and no. Yes, because the other guys weren't there. Physically, they just weren't there to pick up the load when I had like a brain fart and I couldn't come up with the second verse until much, much later, or I had a drink or something, or I had some food or whatever. And then, it'll start to flow. And then no, because again, as I mentioned, Pass You By and stuff like that, songs like Doing Just Fine, I wrote those all by myself. So I'm used to that. I'm used to being in the studio by myself with keyboards and speakers and knobs and stuff like that, and with an engineer, and saying, okay, here's what we're going to do, and then just do it. And now it's even cooler because now I play guitar. So it allows me now to kind of like embellish, those, instead of me having to call somebody to lay a guitar part, I can do it now. Right. So, which makes it even more, awesomer. You know what I mean? The fact that,
and those were Casio keyboards in the studio, of course, too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, to tell you a story about Casio, it's funny because my dad, when I was, I think, 14 or 15 years old, bought me an SK5, like years ago. Like That's obviously, awesome. Like when I was in high school, and the lion sound of go 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 go, that, and the Casio has always been, especially where I come from. Those are the keyboards that we all used, and it kind of fed our desire to want to play piano. And it made it fun, too, because it had the quirky sounds and all that other stuff. Like, that was our first, I guess, introduction to electronics and making beats and making, songs and, that type of thing. The most famous is the Bossa Nova,
So, hang on, mine's right over
there. So Casio, outside of, the watches and the calculators and all that stuff, like musically, it's been a part of the hood more than what you guys might know, because these are the things that producers and beat makers used to make or help make some of their first, beats and songs too. Right. So, and again, the SK5 was my first real introduction to having my own keyboard, because normally I would have somebody else's and stuff. It's funny what happens in the ghetto, where somebody might have a keyboard and somehow it ends up in somebody else's house. Don't ask me how. But anyway, but yeah, it's like, it's like Casio has always been there. Like it's been there, and it's actually been used for quite a few hit records. Like one in particular, you can hear some of the sounds in De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising, where you can hear some of the SK5 sounds. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's awesome.
It's
I gotta
very
go back and listen to that now.
Oh yeah. You'll hear Prince Paul hearing the lion sound, that'll like you can.
Oh, way.
I'm telling you, like it's been used by probably more albums and more artists than I probably know.
That's great.
It all starts with Casio. That's been one of the recurring themes in all of these artist interviews we've been doing over the last month or so. That
it would be really great to have a controller. I just want to throw that out there, like, because I have a home studio. Like, I'm using another brand. I'm not going to say the brand, but I'm using another brand, and it would be really, really great. Guys at Casio, if you're listening, can you please come out with like a 25 key, full length key controller that would, that we can use and in our little setups, because nowadays everybody has a studio in their house anymore. Now, like, no, gone are the days of having to go to a big 48 track SSL board studio. All those things are pretty much relics anyway. You can record, compose, produce, mix, and master in the privacy of your own home. And, it would really be great, Casio. You guys are listening.
We're listening. We're listening, and obviously now we don't need to get you to write that down or everything. We've got it in video format, and
it's on record.
We'll pass that along. So, wow, check this out. Quarantine Evenings consist of Shawn Stockman's album ForeWord and Boyz II Men Wine Harmony. Oh, Harmony Wine, yeah. Look at that.
There you go.
Pour the wine, light the fire, baby. Play the ForeWord album, and it's a good night. Yeah, and shout out to all those who have been enjoying the wine. We just released it a few months ago, and it's now available for your consumption online. Just go to harmony by boyztwomen.com. Just go there and purchase yourself some Bordeaux, some Rosé, or some Chardonnay. It's all good.
So if we make you a MIDI controller, how many cases of wine are you going to send us?
Oh, I got you.
Okay.
I got you covered. Let's talk, Casio people, not just you guys, but the folks I'm sure from Casio that are watching this right now. We're going to come up with a signature series, Shawn Stockman Casio MIDI controller.
All right.
In burgundy red. I'm more than happy to help design. I'm just saying.
Well, can't. There's comments coming in from the chat that can't wait till you're back playing at the Mirage. It's an incredible show. We're looking forward to that. But in the meantime, stay safe and use the time to be productive, make music, take care of the family, all of those things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys, I know that the country's trying to slowly reopen. And again, this is America. You're free to do whatever you want to do. But as a fellow citizen and as a compassionate, concerned human being, I urge people, don't go out yet. It ain't safe. We don't have a vaccine yet. There's still a lot of questions about this virus that we don't have the answers to. And you might not have the symptoms and you might not suffer from those symptoms, but you could be a carrier. Realize that. Understand that just because you're not sick with fever and chills and stuff like that, that you can't pass it to somebody else. I'm not going to get all political, but my point is that it would be foolish, like for a kid to go to school before there's a vaccine. Yeah. And then for them to come back home to grandma and grandfather. Yeah. And hopefully, and unfortunately, maybe pass it to them. Just think about those things, guys, when you guys are going out and you're getting a haircut. For who? I don't know. Like, where are you going? You're getting a haircut to go where? Right. Restaurants are hardly open. You can't go to the club. Like, Vegas is practically shut down. Like, who you getting your hair done for? Like, who you getting your nails done for? Like, your husband's already seen you in your ugliest. So the point is that, like, so what is the point, really? You know what I mean? Like, really think about these things and understand that this pandemic is a community thing. It is not, you're not doing this just because of your safety, but for a person that you don't know. Yeah. This is about showing actual human compassion for a stranger. Try it. Yeah. Continue to practice it and let the world, fix itself in a sense of these doctors, these scientists, finding a cure. And that's it.
Well, and while you're at it, stay musical.
And stay musical, and look out for the new signature series, Shawn Stockman Casio MIDI controller, that'll be coming out very, very soon. For all you producers and songwriters out there, it's going to be the bomb. I'm trying to tell you, it's going to be crazy. We're going to have this conversation. It's going to be sick.
Oh, Mike, he said very, very soon. I think that means we got to get to work.
Yeah, we got to go back to work now. All right. Yeah. We're staying up late for that conference call with Tokyo, so. Well, Shawn, where's the best place for people to check out your new record?
You can download it in all major DSPs, Spotify, Pandora, iTunes, Tidal, everywhere. Anywhere there's music, you can find my album. Also, check me out on Shawn Stockman Official on the Instagram, in case you want to see what it is I'm doing. And that's pretty. And obviously, the Boyz II Men IG. Make sure you check us out for that too, because we actually have a very cool surprise that we're doing on Saturday night. And that's all I'm going to say.
All right. This Saturday night?
You guys figure it out.
All right.
Will it be pre-recorded?
And then, well, Saturday night.
Awesome. We look forward to it. And Shawn, on behalf of everybody here at Casio, thanks for spending this time with us. Stay safe, be well, make music, drink wine, and
all of those things. It's all healthy. It's good for you.
We hope to see you very soon, maybe at the next NAMM show. We love when you stop by. I meant to drop in.
Yes, we do.
It's always one of our highlights when you come by and sing for us at the NAMM booth. Got a picture of you up there at the
I look
screen.
forward to doing that again too, guys. But in the meantime, please be safe. Love to you guys, and families, and all that. Let's get through this together, and so we can get back to work.
Awesome. All right. Great to see you, Shawn.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
Take care.
Love you guys.
Stay safe.
Man.
Be well.
See you soon.
And if you like this video and you want to see more Casio artist spotlights, please subscribe, like, share, do all of those things. And until next time, this has been another Artist Spotlight. Mike Martin from Casio, Rich Formidoni. See you next time.